everyone, welcome to the Magician. Once again, we're using the Mythic Tarot just because that's the deck I grabbed on filming day. And this one, the Magician's the second card. Technically the first, because the Fool is a 0. I think I forgot to mention that. And the Magician is card 1. So he's Mercury, which makes sense. Mercury is very much a god of quicksilver, messengers, alchemical learning I would throw in there too. So this kind of occult kind of knowledge working falls into the Magician. He's esoteric workings kind of stuff going on with this dude. So Mercury is his planet. Beth is the Hebrew name. And Crowley has power down as kind of a aspect of him, which is very true because the Magician knows what he's doing. He's got all his tools and his skills. He gets it. He knows how to use them. And also you have the as above, so below. That's why you get this kind of arm thing going down. You can see one hand's pointing up and one hand's pointing down. So you have this aspect of the micro and the macrocosms coming in along with the elements of earth, air, water, and fire, symbolized by the chalice, the sword, that little pentacle thing, and in this case the catechist is also on here as with the flaming wand signifying fire, and the catechist is also a symbol of, you guessed it, Mercury. So this dude's quick. He's quick-minded, changing, skilled. Knowledge is power, is something he very much understands. He's adept at what he does. He's kind of not a dude you want to mess around with if you came across a real magician dude like this, because he's also not going to be too concerned if he runs you over while he's getting to where he wants to go. He can have a trickster element to him, and also a very much not really concerned about you element to him. He's willing to put, I swear, I read these things before I start this, and I'm always like, what did I write? Because my handwriting, yes, it is that bad. He's willing to put what he knows to work. He's not afraid to be like, he's not the person who's like, I need to research that for another 10 hours because I just don't have enough research for my previous 10 hours. He's going to be like, I just spent 2 hours figuring this out. Now I'm going to put it to work. It's very much applicable to knowledge. Should also be applied. It's not just something you put in your head. You use those skills and you have to use them to truly know them. It's one of the things he brings in. And two, he also realizes that just because you got these skills doesn't mean they don't change. Doesn't mean they don't grow. Doesn't mean that they stay the same for all infinity. Which also is not included in this card, but oftentimes you'll see an infinity symbol above his head. Because knowledge is infinite and you will never know all knowledge. Because really, even though you may be applying your skills, the research never ends. The learning, the acquisition and skills and application of them never, ever, ever learns. He also has an aspect that can tear things down and get stagnant in knowledge when he's not having a good day. He's going to be petty and a snotty. I mean, you just know the Magician is a snob as it is, and he probably has moments where he's like, just what the hell is your problem? You just spent 10 hours working, and how come you don't know how to do it? There is a jerk aspect to this card that can come out, and that comes out in that kind of way of like being bad teaching. I would put bad teachers into that category of like the ones that I had a professor of Latin in the classics department that, like, he's beyond the point, what I started calling the point of no return. He's been in that field so long, he doesn't get why you don't know what he knows. Or he no longer cares that us mere mortals don't understand everything that he knows. The magician can kind of have that feel too. If he's having a bad day, it's like, why don't you get this? I've known it for like 50 years. What's your problem? And he's just going to take that in. He's going to be like, whatever. He's going to be a big jerk about it. So there's that aspect. Also, if you're stagnating in your learning, you feel like you're stagnating in whether it's spiritual, religious, skills for your job kind of stuff. If you feel that stagnation coming in, do kind of like a reboot of learning. That's kind of what I do, but it may manifest differently for you. And also depends on what area of your life that stagnation in knowledge is showing up. So look at ways that you're always constantly learning on all levels of your life. Personal, magical, religious, job-wise, personal stuff, personal interests, whether it's reading fiction or learning new things, gardening, baking sourdough like we were all doing at the beginning of the year. I wasn't, but I was baking bread. So he's an interesting card. And he's really the first person, the Fool, in the Fool's journey that the Fool encounters and starts to learn from. Is this adept magician character. So things we often see on this card, and this is mostly traditional but not super, is that he's in front of a table. In this case, he's in front of a rock that's serving as his table. He's got his red cape. He's got the arms up and down, as above, so below position. Stands before an altar table. In this case, it's a rock. We got the wands, cups, swords, and coin, discs, pentacles, whatever you want to call it, in front of him. This is a fairly classical representation of the magician, with the exception of not having the infinity sign over the hat. So you would commonly see something like this quite frequently. It's an interesting card for me because personally, it's kind of one of those cards I never really connected with until a few years ago, and kind of not feminizing, but as a woman taking that term of magician instead of just like witch or whatever, because I kind of identify this weird kind of like magician witch at this point in my life, very angel worker, land worker, of taking kind of the folklore practices and some of the high practices and smushing them together in my life, and working with both things, which I used to think was, I can't do that. So there's this aspect of the magician that's came in the past few years of working with high magic and low magic. It's such a silly name. It's because one's not more or less than the other. That's what they used to call them back in the day. It's like the low magic where you play with the sticks, stones, and bones, and the high magic where you go talk to like some entities. Not that fairy could be. I mean, you could do fairy high magic. Okay, I'm going to head off in a tangent. It has nothing to do with magicians. So you go out there and have a wonderful day and be the love in the world. Bye-bye.